Miss Eglin here. This video is to introduce English Language Arts 7th graders to a little bit about our class this year. And this is for both in-person and remote learners. We're just going to run you through just a few basic things. And I'm sure many of you who were students last year are already familiar with some of these things. So feel free to skip ahead if you are not interested. The first thing I wanted to show you is how to get on our school website, and I would type in Greensburg-Salem School District in my search bar and then just click. And of course, our school website is where you could get on your Office 365 account. That would take you to your Outlook email, Microsoft Word, and other Office applications that you may need. Grades is where you can check your grades. Okay, and you do have student access to your grades. But what we're going to focus on now is how to get on teacher websites. So I'm going to go up to schools on this top bar, and then I'm going to go down to the middle school, click on that, and then I'm going to go to faculty. Okay, and these are in alphabetical order, so to find my website, you're going to go all the way down to the bottom to the Z. Don't worry, I'm used to it. Always last. Okay, so click on that, and this will just take you to the first page of my website. And again, I do have information here that all of our assignments will be going through Teams, and they will be posted through Teams, and the work will be collected through Teams. So of course, we'll show you more about that later on in class. And again, this is what we did last year, so it should be familiar to students. My email is here, just liz.zeglin@gslions.net. And then I just have a couple of web links here of things we might be using in class. And then to go back, I'm just going to click the back arrow. I have a little bit of information on Microsoft 365. I have directions of screenshots, how to access from home or school, and just a couple how-to videos. But again, I think you're all going to be fine using it since we've already used this last year. These are videos from my YouTube channel. I do have two YouTube channels now. I have one for teachers, Teach 2020, and my student YouTube is still Miss Zeglin. So this video is an intro video, and that is on Miss Zeglin, and this is an older video that we made last year of how to submit assignments into Teams. And again, we will run you through all of this in class. So here's just a page on our YouTube club. This year, we are holding off on clubs until we know more what's happening. So it's not that we're never going to have clubs again. Just right now, that is something that we are going to pause on. And then down here, it is my lesson plans for every week, and these are subject to change. We don't always know how far we're going to get in each class, and obviously in some classes, we're going to get further than others. For example, even on the first day of school, we have an assembly. So the class that we have an assembly in is not going to finish all this. So just to look a little bit at our first week schedule, Tuesday is Group A students only. Wednesday is remote only, and we will be following our regular class schedule, not the shorter Wednesday check-in schedule. I have not set up those meets yet since they're typically not going to be at that time, so you will get a notification right when that class starts of when it will be. On Thursday, again, it will be a repeat of this day, and this is for the Group B students. And then Friday, everybody will be checking in. Anybody whose day it is will be checking in at the same time. So if you're at home and you have a device, you'll be checking in. If you're a remote learner, you'll be checking in. And if you're in person, you would be at school with us. Okay, so those plans will be there for you every week. And next, this is just a little bit of information. And again, you will have these documents. And I also like to put everything in our class notebooks, but just to scroll in a little bit. And you can always save these documents. But these are just some guidelines for our class meets. And obviously, if we're in person or if we are online, when you join a session, please try to be on time. I know when I have a meeting, I try to be a couple minutes early just to make sure that I'm not late, because we will be taking attendance, as soon as possible so we can move on with the class. And again, sometimes that's going to look like we're giving you directions or instruction. And then after the beginning of class, you will probably have time to work on your own, depending on what we're doing that day. And then you can also check in the chat if you have any questions. So the Microsoft Meet will be open the whole time for you, but you don't necessarily have to be staring at the screen. You can be working on your assignment on your own. The environment, and this is behind you. You just want to make sure everything's school appropriate. And I think this is like posters, or, if you have people in the background, you want to try to limit that. I know that's not always possible, but typically I would assume your cameras are going to be off. So nobody needs to see that. So again, when you come into the meet, I would suggest making sure your camera is turned off. And that leads us to the next point, is muting yourself. I would just put my mic on mute so we can get started. And if you have a question, this actually goes down to this one, you're going to type that into the chat box, and I will show you how in a minute. But when we're in a class meet or we're in actual class, all of our school rules still apply. So you want to make sure that you are following, and if you're not sure about something, ask. And I always say this in class, if you want to say something and you're not sure if it's school appropriate, don't say it. Err on the side of caution. You can always ask about it later, but that would be better than blurting out something that may not be appropriate. And again, you want to participate. You're only going to get out of class what you put into it. So if you're not paying attention to the directions, if you're not doing what you need to do before the class, that is going to affect your grade and what you understand. But you can raise your hand in the class session. There's a little button there which I'll show you of how to do that, and you can also again keep typing in those questions of what you want to know. Okay, and you can also email me separately if you have questions, or I'll show you how in the Microsoft team. It's really easy to do. Okay, so we'll click out of that. And then one thing we are going to be going over in class is our brochure. And shout out to Mrs. Elder, who used this previously with her classes. It's really nice, and she put a lot of great information in this document that I think we can refer to all year. So on the first page, we just have our school motto, effort creates ability, and that goes back to you get out of things what you put into them. We don't just say, oh, this student is smart. You're going to be smarter the harder you work. So again, that goes with the participation. If you don't understand something, you need to ask. Try to figure it out. Use all of your resources that we give you, and that's going to make you smarter. So the more effort you put in, the more quote-unquote ability you are going to have. And you might be wondering, what materials do I need for class this year? So everybody will need a textbook. However, we do have about almost 200 copies of our paper textbook. So if you are a remote learner, luckily we also have an online version of the textbook. So you don't necessarily need the hard copy of the book. However, if you're somebody who would like to have one, you feel like you would rather read the paper version, that's okay. We can provide that to you, and we will put your name on it, and there will be a time when your parents can pick that up. If you're a hybrid learner, you are going to need to take the textbook, and when you're at your at-home days, you're going to need to bring that book home with you and then bring that back to school. So I am sorry about that, because if you don't have a computer, this is a little bit heavy. And if we have enough copies, we will try to give, you one for home and for school, but right now I don't know how many copies we're going to have available. So just something to keep in mind is that you might need to bring that back and forth. So having a backpack or something might be helpful. You will need a pencil because of the pandemic. We cannot share this year. A binder. And I know in 6th grade, you had binders for 3 classes, and you can use the same binder. You can just recycle it. And it really doesn't matter if it's a 1-inch, 2-inch, or 3-inch. I would probably suggest a 2-inch if you were buying a new one, but again, the other ones are fine too. This is just a place you can keep your handouts and your notes. And again, for remote learners, we will have the class notebook set up for you, so you will have all the handouts in the electronic version of the binder. If you have been given a laptop by the school, you would need to bring that in, but I know there are going to be some hybrid learners who maybe have a laptop at home, but you don't want to, or you can't bring it to school. That's fine. We're going to have paper copies of everything, especially until our laptops come in. So again, if you can't bring your computer to school, that's okay. We will have paper copies for you. So the middle part of the brochure, it does say write your first and last name on all assignments. That's mostly for if you're doing something in paper. And again, you're in 7th grade now. You do need to write your first and last name and the class period. That just helps us get to know you. And also sometimes we do have students with the same name. I don't want to have to investigate, whose paper is whose. Practice your signature. I usually will give you a cursive paper, and I will also put that online because everybody should be able to sign their name. I know some of us don't learn cursive anymore, but it doesn't mean you can't work on it. Grading scale is the same. 90 to 100 is an A, 80 to 89 is a B, 70 to 79 is a C. Anything below a 70, and we will have to contact you and contact home, because that would be at the D level, and anything under 59 would be failing. So again, if you are contacted about that, there might be some things you need to redo or retake to get your grades up. And this is more for in-person learners, but again, throughout the year, we are going to be following the rating process in pre-writing, drafting, revising, editing, and publishing. Obviously, if we're online or in person, one person should speak at a time. You want to be a good listener, be courteous. We don't want people talking over each other. These reading strategies over here are extremely important. So when we're reading something, these are the things that good readers do. They reread. I obviously read a lot. There are times my mind drifts too. I go back and reread the text. If I don't understand something, I'm asking myself questions. Why did that happen? What happened? Key words. I don't know every single word in the English language. There's times I have to look up a word or use my inferences and try to figure out what that means. So again, all good readers use these strategies, and we will work on these throughout the year. Okay, for the next page, these are the classroom expectations for our school. We want to enter and exit the room calmly, especially now we're going to be spacing out. We want to try to be 6 feet apart. We want to be on time. However, this year we know it might take you a little bit more time if you're at your locker or in the bathroom. They've covered up one sink. They don't want people piling up. So again, we would rather you be safe and follow the social distancing than, be on class at time, but, be crowding together. So that's something that's going to be a little different this year. And also when we dismiss you, we're not going to be dismissing everybody at the same time. Now remember, these are going to be smaller classes. So if you're in person, there might only be, 6 or 7 other people in your class. But we will space people out and give you a chance to get to your locker So you have a little bit more time to get your materials. And again, you want to come with your materials. I typically put a sign on the door of what you need, but it's going to be those things, you know, binder, laptop if you have it, pencil, and textbook. Respect others' points of view. You might not agree with somebody, but you can say that in a more respectful way. You know, I disagree with you because. You don't want to just say, oh, your idea is stupid, or you don't know what you're talking about. And again, we will have class discussions, whether they're online or they're in person. So we will practice that. This year, we say this every year, keep your hands to yourself. You cannot touch other people. You know, you don't want to be giving high fives or grabbing each other or really sharing things. You can bring a water bottle to class. The water fountains are shut off for safety. And again, all these things are based on CDC recommendations. So you can bring a bottle with a lid that has water in it for yourself throughout the day. Okay, so that is something I would recommend. And obviously, if you take something out, you want to clean up after yourself. These logins are going to be a huge help. So we have put them here for you. This is our network login. This is how to get on your email. This is how to get into your grades. And again, if you have changed your password, you know that password. We can't give that to you. So if you don't know that, you would have to get that reset. And then this is our Overdrive e-library where you can check out books. And there's also audio books available, which are really nice. So we have an updated curriculum this year. And these are some of the things we're going to be learning about, not all. But we do want to really encourage you to do as much independent reading as you can. I have books in my room, and you can still take those with you, take that home. But obviously, we're going to ask, if you touch something, I'll have a box there where you can put the books, and don't touch, the books in that box. So we will let those sit for a certain period, and I will put a sign on them. But again, you can touch the book if you are the only person touching it. And we might even have a system where, once you touch it, you can't put it back on the shelf. You have to put it in the box. So there are a few novel options we're going to be reading this year. So we'll talk about that later in the year. And in our grammar and writing, every Wednesday we're going to work on our grammar, and that's our shortened day. But we want to use the things we learn in our writing. And this year we are still able to take the MAP test. It is online. Once everybody gets computers, or we can get in the computer lab, we will talk to you more about that. And of course, the PSSA is usually in the spring. And these are all the things we talked about on that that's previous sign. And if you need to email any of your teachers, here are our emails. Okay, so this is here for you if you need it, just as a reference. I'm sure there will be many more things as the year goes on. I did put directions how to access the online textbook, which we'll talk about, and our new bell schedule, how to open your locker, how to access your email, and then Read Theory and Read Works are two online reading programs, and we may be using them in our WIN intervention program. So again, you can hold off on those, but I wanted to put them up there in case we need them. So that is all for our introduction to the website. Let me show you now how to access your teams. So the first time I get on my team, I'm going to be going to my Outlook email. Okay, so I'm going to go to my office, and then I'm going to pick email. From each teacher, you should have an invitation to that team. So you would find that. So if it's Mrs. Hunter, you're going to find that email from her and click on that, and then that will take you to your team. And I'm sure you've already gotten a bunch of notifications. So then this will take you to your class. Okay, and yours is going to look a little bit different than mine's, but your assignments are going to pop up it's called the general channel. Okay, so when you go to your assignment, and in language arts, we're going to try to post an assignment for you, every day or every few days. So this is what it's going to look like. Okay, so this is just for the first few days, and it says, that first day for some of you is going to be Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, depending on your group. And we'll discuss all this in the actual class meet. There's nothing that's graded that you have to do. I did include the brochure we just talked about. And then this is just what the assignment looks like of things we're going to do. So for the in-person, we're going to talk about safety. We're going to discuss the brochure and our school handbook. We will post that up. That's going to be electronic for you. We will discuss, how to get in the class meets, and then we will introduce each other in an icebreaker type of activity. If time permits, and we will give the hybrid learners a textbook, and we will try to get you on the Overdrive e-library. If you have a cell phone that you want to use, I would suggest that you bring it to class so that you can read your book on your phone. Because if you have the Overdrive app, it's going to be a lot easier to use, though you can use that on the web. Okay, so those are just what we are going to be doing on that day one class. Okay, now for the next assignments, the first assignment we will be doing will be a profile symbol challenge, where you are changing your own profile and thinking about symbolism. So that will be started on Friday, but it will not be due Friday. You'll have it in next week to do that. And again, we're just getting into how to complete these assignments. Don't worry about the grades yet. We just want to make sure that everybody can get in and knows how to submit the assignments. So that's all for now. And I know this was a little bit long, but we just wanted to get everybody on the same page so we all know what we're doing. As always, if you have any questions, put them on the chat in your team or send us an email. Thanks so much for watching.